So my first day at the photography show this year was brilliant. And one thing that really stood out is that if you walk into a show like this without a plan, you don't leave inspired, you leave overwhelmed. And that's exactly the approach we'll carry on with here for day 2. Because it's not about how much you see, it's about what you actually take away and what you actually act on. So for the second day, we're going to carry on speaking to exhibitors and educators, asking the questions that actually help move your photography forward. But before we get going, this quick message. If you'd like a safe space to continue your photography journey with like-minded people, then why not come and join us in our Photography Foundations community over on School. It's a really safe and friendly place to be. No ads, no algorithms, and no traditional social media nonsense. Just photographers from all around the world who are learning, practicing, sharing, and supporting each other. We have an active forum where members post their images, ask questions, and share ideas. There's a classroom with structured learning and feedback sessions, a members map so you can see who's near you, and regular challenges and discussions to keep your photography moving forward. So if that sounds like your sort of thing, the link is in the description, or you can use the QR code on the screen, and we'd love to see you there. Okay, let's get into day 2.
How the journey continues. The mask itself.
My second day at the photography show in Birmingham today. I'm at the Adobe stand and I'm with Meredith, one of the senior development team for Photoshop and responsible for a lot of the tools that you guys use in Photoshop. So Meredith, can you tell us a bit about your background with Adobe and how long you've been there?
So I am a product manager on the Photoshop team. I'm out of the San Jose office, which is our headquarters. I have been on the Photoshop team for almost 25 years.
Wow, part of the furniture.
Yeah, it's really truly my passion. One of the fun things about the team is because everybody on the team is so passionate and dedicated, I still work with some of the people who interviewed me for my job on the Photoshop team 25 years ago.
Well, that's fantastic. So somebody maybe new to Photoshop, just starting out in photography maybe, Meredith, why is now a good time to be involved with Photoshop and start getting to use Photoshop? Why now in 2026?
That's a good question. I think especially for newer photographers starting out, the tools are more connected than they ever used to be. Lightroom and Photoshop, and now some of the tools just we've removed a lot of the drudgery of, we'll say, I'll use the remove tool for example. It used to be that you would spend hours and hours removing cables and wires out of a background.
Oh, I've been there.
Yes, yes. And now we have tools, they're automatic, one click. They also give you the power to make modifications if you need, but it really takes out that drudgery and gives you more time for creative and the fun stuff, the stuff that you want to do. So I think it just keeps getting better and better for that.
Oh, that's brilliant. That absolutely makes sense to me, because some of that stuff you just mentioned about hours and hours in Photoshop used to kind of suck the fun out of the whole process. So you guys are doing a great job. So thanks so much for agreeing to be interviewed, Meredith. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. It's so great to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Love to see you here.
Have a great rest of the show.
Thanks.
And thank you to Eddie, our cameraman. Okay, so we've just caught up with Ben on the Adobe stand. Ben, can you tell us briefly what your role is within Adobe?
Yeah, I'm a product manager on the Lightroom team.
Excellent. So, product manager, so you may be a good person to ask this question. So if a beginner starting out that hasn't done any editing yet, and the Lightroom ecosystem, the Adobe ecosystem in general is a massive, maybe sometimes intimidating to beginners. What would you recommend for somebody starting out in editing, Lightroom Classic or Lightroom?
Yeah, so I guess first let me say, these are both tremendous applications.
Sure.
Neither of them is a superset of the other, so they each have features that the other doesn't have. But in terms of editing features specifically, they are identical and they offer the same level of capability. For anybody starting out for the first time, any photographer starting out for the first time with an Adobe product, whether a beginner photographer or not, I would recommend that you start in Lightroom. Lightroom Classic could be appropriate if you have a few very kind of specific niche needs, but unless you know of those needs, I would definitely recommend starting in Lightroom. In particular, for beginners, Lightroom offers some really great benefits. So there are built-in video tutorials directly within the app in Lightroom, which Lightroom Classic does not have. So right within the app, you just click on the little question mark help icon. There's about a dozen different video tutorials right there that'll teach you all about all the different aspects of the application and how to use it. And then in addition to that, within Lightroom, and again, this is not available in Lightroom Classic, there's a whole Learn section full of editing tutorials that are not videos that you watch, but that actually walk you through the edits in the application itself.
So that's really beginner friendly.
It's
superb.
Absolutely fantastic. Yeah, you can browse, there's hundreds of these tutorials. You can browse them in different ways by subject matter, for example, so portrait photography, food photography, but you can also browse by tool, by like Lightroom tools. So if you say, oh, I want to learn about the curves tool, you can find all of the tutorials about that. You click on one to start it, it loads up a photo for you. It says, okay, go over here and drag this slider, and what that's going to do is blah, blah, blah. And it circles the slider for you and shows you how to move it.
It's funny how you should mention the curve tool, because I get asked that all the time.
There you go.
What's the curve tool?
Yeah, so you can find out right within the application. It'll tell you exactly, it'll walk you through exactly how to do it step by step, explain what you're doing and why you're doing it. You can see the effect it's having on your photo and so on. So there's some really great learning resources that are built directly into the Lightroom application that are missing in Lightroom Classic.
That's absolutely fantastic. Thank you for your time, Ben, and that answers the question beautifully.
Wonderful.
So for beginners, Lightroom, you heard it from the man himself. Thank you very much, Ben. Do you know what? I've got a cameraman there. I might go and talk to this gentleman. Brian,
so much.
Brian, are you okay? You up next? Yeah. Brian said yes. Okay,
right.
Good. Thank you very much, Ben.
Thank you.
Take care. All right. Okay, so we've caught up with Brian. Brian has just come off stage, a fantastic demonstration. Brian, we've just been chatting to Ben, but before we ask you a question, can you tell us a little about your role within Adobe?
Sure, yeah, I am a software quality engineer, so I work with Ben, and my primary responsibility is that once a feature is, added to Lightroom, I make sure that it is as stable and works as expected as possible when it's delivered to our users.
Perfect. Okay, and now I understand that you started out in Lightroom Classic 20 years ago. So why are you now using Lightroom over Lightroom Classic, Brian?
I mean, for me, the biggest selling point when I saw Lightroom was coming out, because at the time there was already a mobile version of Lightroom, but that I saw Adobe was building this ecosystem of apps. Up until that point, I was in Lightroom Classic and everything was local. And that's great, that's fine. I grew up with Lightroom Classic, but the idea of being able to have access to not just smart previews, but my full res original files, my edits on my phone, on my iPad, in a web browser, that to me is great, because let me tell you something, like I fully admit, when I'm done with work, I'm not done with the Lightroom. Like, yeah, my day is heads down in the Lightroom on the desktop, but then when I'm with my wife in the living room, we've either got music or we're watching something passively. Sure. I grab my iPad and I can tell you something. The ability to kind of dive into a random folder, and I'm talking about photos from like 1998, 1999 that are in Lightroom. I can just find one that I forgot about. I can guarantee you everyone watching can sympathize with having photos that they took, but life got in the way and they forgot to edit.
I think we've all been there.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's reality. Sure. But the fact that when I'm just kind of hanging out, and this is God's honest truth, instead of doom scrolling, I was at the DMV, the Department of Motor Vehicles, which is just as miserable as you can expect. But instead of being on social media, I always advocate, don't doom scroll, just go through Lightroom. You've got your photos there, and I just sat there. Lightroom Mobile has a fully competent, built out raw editing pipeline that I can edit my photos, and then when I get back home, the edits are there. So to me, that is amazing. Also, I'm sorry, but the ability to create a really nice shared album that I can share with my mom, or that I can share with anyone else, they can view the photos. I can let them download the full res JPEGs. I can even give them the ability to edit the photos themselves if they wanted to. That to me is a huge, huge benefit.
I mean, that's a fantastic answer, Brian. That's amazing that you transitioned it from Lightroom Classic, because I did something similar. But picking up on something that Ben had mentioned, the fact that Lightroom having local storage now was a game changer for me. And also, I used to get questions from people in college about, what's the collection? But if you tell them what an album is, they can resonate with that. And the fact that they can share it, as you say, is golden. So the local storage for me was a game changer. I don't know how you found that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, local was a really important thing that people have been asking for, and I'm glad that we delivered on it, because it does allow you to use Lightroom on your own terms. Like, we're meeting you where you are. And if you are, say for example, not exactly sure how you want to use Lightroom in the cloud, you can still get so many of the benefits of Lightroom, and you can then choose to say, well, maybe they're just, you want, for example, the current year of photos in the cloud, or you want your top selects in the cloud. You get all the benefits there. For me personally, one of the things that I'm most excited about is what we're doing around search with cloud, your cloud library. And so these are the things that, for me, yes, local is powerful, it's scalable, it works the way you need it to work. You can access your photos on an internal drive or any external drive, and you have your edit stack there. It's great. But I truly think that cloud is that's the soul of Lightroom.
Great. And you've alluded to more things coming in the future, Brian, so let's bring it on. Brian, thanks ever so much for your time.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. I think I might try and find my buddy Glyn Dewis. I think he's behind us somewhere.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Okay, I've finally caught up with Glyn, my good buddy. Been very busy on the Adobe stand here, Glyn.
Oh, yeah.
So this capture, edit, print, can you talk us through that? What's that all about?
Yeah, it is. It does what it says on the tin. It's basically, we've got a setup area here where Westcott have given us some lights where folks can just come along. They're continuous lights, which is really good. Yeah. Come along, take some shots. We've got some great models. We've got a couple of folks here with iPads with Lightroom Mobile on, so we can then very quickly get their images in, quick edit, and then Khandie, I said it correctly, they've given us loads of paper so people can have some prints. And then people can get entered into a competition. It's like a wall of fame we've got, where they can win a year of Creative Cloud Pro or the photography plan. They could even win a badge.
Wow, excellent. Well, that's brilliant. Thanks for that explanation. That really clears it up, because I wasn't sure exactly where we were going with it. But somebody who is getting into photography, and maybe they haven't actually done any editing or printing yet, and maybe they're relying on JPEGs from their camera.
Yeah.
What would you say is the main thing they'd be missing out on by not editing their pictures and not printing them?
Well, I guess really, when you talk about the editing, well, you're not editing rather, and you've got JPEGs, you're very reliant there on saying, right, my image is how the camera manufacturer wants it to be. Sure. Even like Fuji's, when you have the film, it kind of looks in there. Unless you dive in and make changes to it, it's kind of the same look again and again. So what I love, and I'll tell everybody to do it, do the editing. Even if it's just a case of pressing auto, and even just changing one slider, that's putting your stamp on it. Do you know what I mean? So you're kind of getting your own look out of it. And printing, well, you know me, the art doesn't end at the edit. Get the print done, because there is nothing better than physically having a print in your hand. I know we get great screens on iPads and mobile phones, but nothing's better than a piece of paper with your print on.
Absolutely. Have you found anybody's kind of, oh wow, I got a print from today, and they...
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you can see from the Wall of Fame on there, have a look, there's some cracking images, and they've literally just plugged them into the iPad here, very, very quick edit, and that has made a massive difference. And people are walking away going, oh, look at that. I mean, there's some really good shots.
Brilliant. That's fantastic, mate. Thank you very much for your time.
Buddy. You're welcome.
I think you better get back to work.
I think so. We've got some stuff happening very soon.
All right, excellent. Okay, so I've just caught up with the amazing Gavin Hoey. You may know him from Adorama TV and all the amazing stuff that Gavin does over there with his portraiture work. Gavin's been a very busy show for you so far, but thanks for spending a bit of time. I see a lot of people when they start out doing portrait photography, they don't know quite how to interact and they're a bit reluctant talking to models. Yeah. What advice would you give somebody starting out in portraiture to interact with and direct the model?
Yeah, okay. So the best bit of advice I can give you is that a model is a person. They're just a normal person like you and me. They're nothing special, so treat them like a normal person. You're going to get on really well. They're also not mind readers. They can't read your mind. They don't know what you're thinking, so you need to be able to tell them what you're after. So there's a couple of ways you can do that. One way is to show them before the shoot, a mood board, that kind of idea.
Always a good idea, yeah.
Or alternatively, and much better, back of the camera. So either the back of the camera or tether. If you can tether in, really, really good. So show them what you're doing, explain what you're after, but also listen to them as well. So have a conversation. Say, this isn't working, not because of you, but because of the lighting. What would you suggest? What poses would you suggest? They're the experts at posing. You're the expert at photography. Work together, talk to them like a normal person, and you'll have a great experience.
That's perfect. Fantastic advice from the man himself. Thank you ever so much, Gavin, for spending some time. Appreciate it. Thank you, buddy. Okay, we're rolling. Thank you, Gavin. Gavin's turning my cameraman, so excellent. Thank you to Gavin for introducing me to Khandie. And you're described as?
A loud mouth with a camera, but I haven't got much of a voice left.
Well, what I wanted, just a quick question, Khandie, is about your music photography, festival photography.
Yeah, I do that a lot.
What killer bit of advice would you give somebody that's never done it before and would like to start doing music festival photography?
There's a lot out there on terms of what gear to take with you, but some things I've learned is good sensible shoes and with ankle support, good earplugs, you need to invest in this, and stay hydrated, but a bum bag or a bag that goes across your body that's tight. You cannot take your backpack into that pit. Don't worry about the ISO, get the shot, move, do not hog a spot, and have fun, okay?
Thank you very much, Khandie. We better get out of the way. Okay, I've just managed to catch up with my good friend Stewart Wood, and he's an amazing macro photographer. If you haven't checked out Stewart's work yet, be sure to do that. But I thought it might be good to grab your definition of macro, Stewart, because a lot of people confuse close-up and macro. So could you define macro for us?
So true macro is what we call a 1-to-1 reproduction ratio, and the easy way to describe it is if you take a penny and place it on top of your sensor, that is the same size it would be if you take the photo. So that's a 1-to-1. Right. Close-up is less than that, and then as you go more magnification, you go into the extreme macro, and that's when you're using microscope objectives and stuff like that. So it's the definition is a 1-to-1 macro. Yeah.
Excellent. So there you are from the man himself. Perfect. So if somebody was starting out in macro or wanting to get interested in it, it's obviously quite an expensive hobby. I've bought macro lenses. Could you advise like a basic kit that they might be able to make a start with?
Yeah, so the first tip is don't buy a macro lens. Okay, if you've got a 70 to 200mm lens, you can get a clip-on lens for the front that can change that lens into a 1-to-1 macro. Oh, wow. And they're only like about £80, so that's easy to get into. And on the flip side, if you've got a 50mm lens, you can put extension tubes onto it and turn it into a macro lens. And it's a really budget-friendly way to try it before you commit to a dedicated macro lens. You can save yourself a lot of money, because if you don't like it, you've only spent £30 to £80, whereas if you buy a macro lens and you don't like it, you're talking £1,000. So yeah, don't buy a macro lens.
Fantastic advice there. So, and you've been and done it and wrote the book, basically.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you very much for your time, Stewart. Really appreciate it, buddy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's see how else we can catch up with. Okay, so we've rocked up now at the Rocky Nook stand, which has been tremendously busy from every time I popped over, Scott. We're here with Scott. Scott, how's the show going so far?
It's been, like you said, incredibly busy. Today especially, selling a lot of books. The stacks are going down.
Perfect, that's just what you want from a show, yeah.
Absolutely.
Now, obviously I know you as publishers of photography books, but obviously you've been branching out more recently. So firstly, what other subjects are you covering now, and how is that going? How is that going for the business, so to speak?
We've expanded quite a bit. We have drawing, painting, sewing, and sort of some craft topics as well. It's been going very well. We also just launched our first online community called the Nook, where we have classes and things like that.
Oh, cool.
Trying to bring creatives together more. And people usually have a broader interest than just photography. You know, sometimes people like to paint and draw and do crafts. So
Absolutely. Oh, that's brilliant. That's good to know. I wasn't aware until I came to the show the other day, so fantastic. Just diving back to photography from my point of view then, I find that some beginner photographers starting out, they struggle with the concept of composition. It seems some sort of abstract art to them. Have you got any specific books that might be useful for people in that situation where they want to know a bit more about composition?
We do. I mean, most people know about Scott Kelby. He's one of the best-selling authors for years, and he has a book called Crush the Composition. It's right here.
Perfect.
And I like everything. He simplifies it into simple concepts and not make it too complex. Get not caught up in all the art theory and all of that kind of stuff.
I really like Scott's writing style as well. He kind of writes like he speaks, doesn't he? So
exactly, he's like your friend, and he's explaining to you how to do it rather than a professor or something like that.
Well, thanks for the recommendation, thanks for the insight, and thanks for your time, Scott. Really appreciate it. Thank you, and hope the rest of the show goes well. Just tomorrow, and that's it.
Just tomorrow, we'll go back home.
Okay, great. Let's see what else we can find. Okay, I'm honoured to be in the presence of the amazing Julianne Kost here at the Adobe stand. Julianne, for those that live under a rock and maybe don't know you, can you just briefly introduce yourself and tell us how long you've been with Adobe and what your role is?
Sure. So I've been with Adobe since 1992, so quite a long time, and I am currently the digital imaging evangelist for Photoshop and Lightroom.
Fantastic. So you're part of the furniture now, basically.
Yes.
Julianne, I mean, your work is amazing, and I remember your broadcast on Adobe TV and always very professional and very educational. But I want to talk about your abstract photography. It's definitely an art form. Now, I've tried intentional camera movement, but it's nothing like what the work you do. How do you even spot what might make a great abstract photo?
So most of my intentional camera movement is actually shot from a moving car or a train or a bus. That's how I started it. I was just kind of bored on a long trip. Of course, I was the passenger. I was not the driver. But I just found it really kind of fascinating to try, because in mine, I try to get something in focus. So something has to be in focus and the rest of it's moving. So I'm panning the camera as the car moves in the same direction that we're moving and hoping to lock focus on maybe an interesting tree or some reeds or anything that I can capture one portion of it still and have the rest of it moving. Because there's a really cool thing that happens is when you're moving and you're moving the camera, you'll get a blur that goes around like a carousel.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, so the blurs one direction if it's far away and then another direction as it's close to you. So that's my goal so it's not necessarily that I'm stopping and looking for something, because it's just whatever passes by in the car.
So it's just happening as you're driving, and if it looks good to you, you go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So perfect. But so how do you make them look so artistic and so? I mean, the abstract is great, but they're wall art. I mean, how does that happen?
Well, thank you, but there's a little post-processing in it. But I will tell you, I've never taken so many images as I took for that project, because 99 out of 100 do not turn out. You either don't get focus, or it's not interesting, or the motion's not interesting, or there's no color. So it's just, I think when you start it, it'd be best to be in a train or something so you don't drive your partner crazy who's driving the car, but you'll get a feel for it. You start looking out one eye to see what's coming, and then as it passes by, you try to lock that focus so that everything else is moving and blurring while that one thing, because you got to pan right at the same speed of whatever it is you're passing by.
Fantastic, and what a great way to pass time on a train journey.
Yes.
Brilliant. Julianne, thanks so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you
Loved
so
all
much.
your presentations on the stand. They've worked you hard, but they've all been brilliant. Thanks so much, Julianne.
Thank you.
Take care. So that was day 2 here at the Photography Show, and that's a wrap on this year's visit. And if there's one thing I hope you take away from both videos, it's this. It's not about the gear, it's about the decisions you make when you pick up the camera. Because all the advice you've heard over the 2 days from educators, exhibitors, and working photographers pretty much comes back to the same thing. And that's practice, consistency, and actually applying what you learn. I had a brilliant time catching up with old friends and making some new ones, and most importantly, asking the questions that help move your photography forward. What was your biggest takeaway from these 2 videos? Drop it in the comments. I read and respond to everyone. And maybe I'll see you at next year's show. If you've enjoyed this little two-part series, give it a like and subscribe if you haven't already. It's really appreciated. The first video is here if you missed it, and don't forget to come check out our Photography Foundation community over on School. It's a safe, friendly space to be. The link's in the description, or you can use the QR code on the screen. As always, thanks so much for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.